All right, good evening, everyone. I'm going to call the June 10th, 2025 Finance Committee and Agenda Meeting to order. We'll start with our attendance. We have Jess Brennan, John Delarado. We'll wait and see if he is going to come in. Bill McPartlin, Jason Moskowitz, Kara Parks, Elena Finnan, Michelle Martinelli, Josh Panisha. I just saw you. And Diane Percy, no. And then Eric is here. We have Laura Robertson. We have Deputy Chief Twitty. Special guest star here is Dan from the Water and Sewer Department. We have Lori Peretti and members of the public. Did I miss it? And Michelle Martin. I did? See, special. All right, we have minutes from our May 2025 Finance and Agenda meeting, and I'll take a motion to approve.
Motion to approve the minutes from the May Finance and Agenda meeting.
Thank you. Do I have a second?
Second.
All in favor?
Aye.
Aye. Okay. This was the one where we had the issues with the audio. Okay, so we have a few items for action under the Finance and General Government Committee. The first one, I made table because I wasn't able to get the two other, should I put it on the end of the month meeting?
You
The
still have
grant
until the
money?
end of the month.
Oh, okay, I thought this one was so this one has to be a
Reserve bank.
resolution anyway?
Yes.
Got it. Okay. So I'm still awaiting two more quotes for a grant writing firm. I've circulated that one from Millennium. I'm trying to find another company that does everything that Millennium does. So I went in and tried to find other entities that answered the same RFPs that they answered in the state of New York. So I reached out to a couple of those companies and I'm just waiting for some pricing and I'll send all of that your way. But hopefully that'll be done for the end of the month so that we can get started because they've already opened up some of the state grant cycles. So I'm trying to jump on that. Okay, so more to come on that one, but you already have the Millennial one. I'll circulate the others as soon as I get them. Budgetary modifications and interfund transfers, anything exciting on there? Nothing exciting. Okay. And then we have a new EAP provider. So this would be a resolution to authorize a contract with them. What is who is it again? ESI. An EAP, for those who aren't aware, is the Employee Assistance Program. It's something that we offer through our HR department to all of our employees. We had a provider previously that wasn't working out so well, so we kind of went out and looked for some. Oh, nice. I didn't realize that. Is that when the other one's up? Okay. Oh, that's right. I forgot about that. Okay. It's probably easier if we do the 90 days anyway, because then there's like nice long transition. Okay, so.
And this is coming in less than the prior one.
Oh, wow. That's pretty good.
Okay.
All right. Any other questions on that one? Good.
I know we don't get names or any information of the employees that use that service, but do we have a number? Or do we know approximately how many employees take advantage of it?
I think we did, right? Yes.
Right. Okay.
There's actually going to be a lot of HR support. Like I'll be able to call them and ask questions about HR topics. And so that's kind of where the market seems to be going anyways by offering more comprehensive programs. So it's a good time to look into it. I think we've been with this idea for like 9 years, maybe.
Oh, wow. That's a long
It's
time.
been a while.
That's good.
Yeah.
More services, less money. I like it.
Yeah, that's good. How long is the contract for with the ESI? Right. Okay.
But we think it's going to come before the June meeting? Okay, okay. Super. We also have a resolution to reappoint Eric as our town assessor. I always think it's so funny that he comes in like, run and talk to me about it, like I'm going to pick anyone else. Doing a great job. This actually doesn't become, when is the end of your term? August, I think? September 30th, so preemptively, and we'll be good to go with no hiccups there. We have finance approval needed for the purchase of digester gas testing equipment at the wastewater treatment plant, which from what I understand is like half of what we thought it was going to be, right? So that came in fantastic. Dan's going to tell us a little something about it.
We received a test a product and we ran it through the digester gas today and it's doing exactly what we needed it to do. So we're able to find some equipment that's more economically priced, and so we're going with that.
Dan, before you walk away, so is the 6,863 figure the right figure for this approval?
Yes,
Okay.
Yep.
Okay.
that's the right figure.
So we just need approval from finance for that?
I think
Yes.
so, right?
Yep.
Okay, so I will take a motion to approve the purchase of a digester gas testing equipment at the wastewater treatment plant in the amount of $6,863.
Second.
Second, all in favor?
Were you the first?
I said make, but can I just, I
Oh,
said
you'll be the
take,
first.
but I meant make. How about that?
Okay.
I know what you meant.
All right. And then also we have a mower off of state contract. Finance approval needed. Anything special or exciting about this mower? No? And this is the exact amount?
Yes.
Okay.
Yep, that's the exact amount. To keep our guys working efficiently, able to do their job, the right equipment for the right job. So.
All right. I'll make a motion to approve the purchase of the mower off of state contract in the amount of $8,500.
Second.
And all in favor?
Aye.
Okay. Okay. Does anybody else have anything to add from the floor for finance and general government?
I just wanted to maybe have a very brief discussion about the town logo work group and survey. I'm assuming everybody probably saw Maria's email. They did do the vote or survey that was put out to town residents to the email, and I think we had it in the newsletter and in the in our ad. And the original design that they picked, the Heron design, had a significant lead among or above the other designs. So I guess now that we asked them to complete that survey or that vote, and they did, and we have a winner, we need to make a decision on the next step.
Yeah, I would agree. They've done everything that we asked, and we said we wanted to put this out to townwide vote or anybody that was interested in voting.
Mhm.
The, participation level wasn't where I think I would have hoped it would have been. I would have hoped we would have gotten more participation, but we had it out there for quite a while.
Just for reference for anyone who didn't see it or for anyone that may be watching, there was a total of 619 votes that came in. 599 of them were valid. So they eliminated a few votes. People who weren't Niskuna residents, looks like the main reason that they were excluded. But 599 were valid, and the original Heron design got 333 votes, which was obviously more than half. So I don't know what everyone's feelings are on the next step on if we have a resolution to adopt that or. where
Do you
we
want
go
to
from
add
here.
that to the agenda for the end of the month?
I mean, is everybody okay with that?
Well,
I mean, I
what,
think
is that coming
the-
out of your committee, John, economic development, or is that just?
Sort of in between, I think, right? Like Laura had been helping us with it, but does it really fall under general government? I have no idea.
to come out of finance, we're all here, but,
I think probably out of finance if it's gonna be a,
I don't know. We haven't done it since what, the 70s? So I don't know. We could look back, but it doesn't really matter. Okay, so we'll add it.
I was on the work group, I can sponsor it.
Okay. Anything else that we didn't touch upon? Just so I mention it, we'll probably talk about this a little bit more as we get further into it, but we did have a chance to do a checkpoint with Raftellus on the water and sewer rate study. Some great information. We're still trying to figure out how to distribute the rates in a way that makes sense. So we have them working on a couple of different options, but in the meantime, they gave us a lot of great information about Niskuna and kind of how they compare to all of the other entities that they've worked with, which for me is very helpful because I don't have as much context for it. They just sent me these slides today, so I'll distribute them out to you. They're pretty good, but they're not final. It's just sort of a checkpoint. I think my goal was to try to have new rates for the next cycle, which would have began for July 1st. But their advice is that we make this more a part of our budgeting process for 2026. Doesn't mean that we can't change them for July 1st, but that was their recommendation. It gives us some more time to share this information with the public and to make sure that everybody understands where all of those dollars go and what they're used for, and kind of puts us in comparison to other entities because I think that's helpful to sort of figure out where we are in the world. The one thing though that I do want to touch upon, and it really would need to be a resolution for the end of the month, but I don't have specifics on it, is to change the rates for that smaller group of churches, the VFW. It's mostly entities that are considered homestead. They're not non-homestead. They're commercial because we really have those two buckets. But now we're putting the VFW in the same bucket as Knowles Atomic Power Laboratory, which they're two very different things. So what we're leaning towards, and it's not a definite yet, but what we're leaning towards is basing the rate on meter size. So that if you have larger commercial entities, they have a larger meter, and we can kind of shift. And it really is more of a burden on our systems when the meter is bigger. It takes a lot more out of what we're doing here in water and sewer. It's a heavier burden on the team there, and it just costs more money. So it makes sense for us to use meter size as a way to allocate costs, which would take our churches who maybe have a sink and a bathroom and a small kitchen, and the VFW who, not much bigger. It's actually in an old, it used to be a residential home. So it's still got a meter size that's the same as a regular residence. So we're leaning toward that. We want to make sure that we're looking at it holistically and we're not making any more errors when we do this again. But my goal is to have a resolution on for the end of the month that differentiates just that one particular group. So more to come on that, but it would need to be done now in order to be in effect for July 1st.
quick question. Was just giving the 5091Cs or the not-for-profits or, religious organization, was just giving that group some type of discount, so to speak, as opposed to changing the whole thing looked at or discussed? Because I think that's where most of the burden is falling.
It
The
is.
churches, like
It is, but the more I looked at it, the more I realized that there are small businesses that fall into that category.
Mhm.
And, we don't have a lot of commercial entities in Niskuna. And I feel like I want to make sure that we're taking care of our small businesses as well. And if they're really fitting into the same bucket as far as meter size go, if we're talking about strain on the system, then maybe that's the best way to go about it. We just want to make sure that we understand what the results will be and where that burden has to shift to, because those dollars have to come in from somewhere. So where are they going to come from? At this point, it would just be half a year because we'll be reevaluating for January 1st, but we just want to make sure we don't make any errors that have a significant effect on the revenue requirement that we have for water and sewer. So that's why I'm hesitant, but I really want to have something on for the end of the month so that we can make change, at least for them, for the nonprofits and benevolent associations. Okay.
So you want to make this change, but have we done an analysis on if we make this change, what that financial impact will be?
No, because our software is so horrible that we can't run a report that shows that we have like a bucket of non-homestead accounts and they all have meter size associated with it. We can't run a report that shows just the entity and the meter size. We have to run a report and then add in all of the meter sizes. So we can run the report with their usage, which we would, that would generate an estimate as to what we could assume would come in. But then we have to go through and add meter size for all of the entities before they can run that analysis. I tried to do it yesterday and it bottomed out on me again. So I think at this point, we're going to have to ask Harris to do an extract, and it's like pulling teeth. So
We're getting away from them though, aren't we?
we are, but again, I want to make sure that the moves we make last a lot longer than, just like making a rash decision. So when we change to new billing software, I want it to be something that we can use for more than just the utility billing. It should be something that's offering a little bit more stability for any of our accounts receivable. So the goal is to find something that integrates with the enterprise software that we use here, which is Munis. If it integrates well and we can use it for multiple functions, it makes the investment a whole lot easier to swallow. We don't really spend a whole lot of money on Harris, but it's also not doing what we need it to do. So the goal is to find something that not only can run the reports and pull the information that we need, but also can give some additional billing options. We talked about that once upon a time, how we wanted to make sure that if, let's say they do have a water bill, they have a leak, they have something that they can't prevent. Can we spread those payments out? Right now, we would have to do that manually through an Excel spreadsheet and an email or a mailer out to our residents, and it's not as clean as we would like it to be. So we have some ideas, and actually, Raftellus, I didn't realize, has a whole arm that helps you to decide what would work. So I have a woman, Catherine, who's supposed to give me a call later this week, who's going to say, hey, we use this here and that there. So it's an additional benefit that we're getting from the providers of the rate study. So there'll be some changes. I just want to make sure that they're absolutely perfect before we put them out for resolution. So that's where we are with things. But as far as the more global rate change, we're looking at budget season that we'll know for January 1 start. Feeling good? Everybody loves talking about utility rates. Okay, anything else before we switch over? Okay, then we will start with police and public safety. You want to come on up?
Afternoon. We have like 5 items here. So the first resolution, 3A, is a resolution to call for a public hearing regarding town code changes relative to the application within the town. So applications that are being submitted to the town. 3B is a resolution to authorize the chief of police to enter into a poll agreement, attached agreement with Niagara Mohawk Power Corporation. 3C is a tentative resolution to enact a local law regarding parking restrictions on Ray Street.
This is the one where we're just doing it on the other side of the street, right?
Right, so the public hearing will be on for that meeting, just for the here to corner 50 feet. And I just put it on as a tentative resolution. If there's nothing serious that needs to be changed or any further consideration, then the board will have the option to adopt it in the same night.
And that was to help emergency vehicles get through that road.
and like that turn is hairy anyway, like onto in Antwerp, so that's good.
Yeah, we
last
already did
time.
that one. So the public hearing's on for the end of the month.
3D is a resolution to call for a public hearing regarding a local law that would ban possession and discharge of air guns in any park, building, street, or other public place in the town of Niskuna. And 3E is a tentative resolution to appoint a lateral transfer as a police officer in the Niskuna Police Department.
Okay, how exciting. Anybody have anything?
Just quickly, with regards to number D, would that be a misdemeanor or a violation, or don't we know yet?
I'm going to say we don't know
A
yet.
violation.
It's going to be a violation.
But it will be like, so the city of Schenectady has something similar in place, but I think their fine's like $25 or something very minimal. What I talked about with the police chief and with Detective Connor is to do it as a violation, but give the option, or give the judge the option of 15 days in jail or the heftier fine, which I think might be $1,000 off the top of my head.
Thank you.
Just for anyone who's unaware, the air guns that are made now look strikingly real, like, so we're actually protecting the person who's possessing the gun as well, because we don't want anybody mistaking it, law enforcement even mistaking it for a real gun. So I think that this really helps in a lot of different ways. Anything else? Okay, you're off the hook. Thank you. All right, and then Dan for water, sewer, and engineering.
Okay, item 4A, a resolution to authorize a fence and shed easement agreement at 843 Downing Street. Pretty standard process. We have the items from them. Item 4B, a tentative resolution to authorize a fence easement agreement at 833 Red Oak Drive. We're still waiting on some information from the applicant on that one. 4C, resolution to the engineering firms. Oops. Recommendation will be ready for the June board meeting. Item 4D, a resolution to permanently appoint 2 maintenance workers. Tyler Rogers and Dylan Unser are nearing the end of their probationary periods, and we would like to recommend that they be permanently appointed. Item 4E, a resolution to authorize the waiving of permit fees for second water meter installations. Permit fees for the necessary interior plumbing permit are needed to install a second water meter will be waived for a period of 2 years. We'll already have the staff in there doing the inspection on the install. So
And just as for anyone who didn't notice this one previously, we had talked about, we brought this up in both the Planning or Economic Development Committee and in Water and Sewer. We are encouraging people who have irrigation systems to get a separate meter so that they are not charged for the sewer piece of their usage. And because we're sort of encouraging them to do that as a result of the rate increase, we'd like to give people a period of time to get that done and to not have to spend as much money to get it done. So for a period of 2 years, we'll have sort of a grace period of sorts where they don't have to pay the inspection fee.
I think coming out of committee, it was decided it was going to be 1 year.
Oh, was it?
Yeah, I don't know that we reached a definitive answer. in
I'm not
committee,
sure
but I
we
know
did
1 year
either.
was the,
Well, how about
That's how long we
we figured that out?
talked
I
about
had just thrown out 2 years. If we think 1 year is sufficient, maybe we can just kind of ramp up our conversation about it in general and put it out there and try to get people who are going to do it now.
When does the clock start? No?
I think we were saying July 1st, right? Or no, we were going to, that's what it
You were
was.
going to do it retro.
We were going to retroactively do it to last year. So we were going to do it a year from now and then go a year prior. So anyone who had paid for it in the last bit after the rates went up and we said, hey, come and get this meter, we would like to refund those folks and then have a year after that. I
yeah,
think
I
that's
think
what
we
we
had said
landed on.
from the date the rates went into effect
Yes.
until August 31st or the end of this summer, I think we had said.
Yes, I think that is. what
How
we
much
said.
is the fee?
$45, I want to say. Yeah.
Okay, so you want to do it retroactively, makes sense. And then put it out for one more year.
Yes, just to give people an opportunity to, I mean, there's not, we can't give them the meter. They have to pay for the meter. So the only thing we can do is kind of give this waiver of this one fee. So I'm thinking, let's do what we can do for the time being.
Cost of the meter is 400
Yeah.
something. So I mean,
Yeah.
they're still paying a significant amount. I mean, I think waiving that $45 fee is least we can probably do.
That's what I was thinking.
And the main purpose of this meter is,
It's a separate meter for irrigation systems outdoors because we know it's not going into the sewer. So they're not charging for the sewer,
yes,
only for the
which
water
is,
usage.
which is hopefully going to save on water usage and overall cost.
There's a price point where it makes sense. And I don't know if they're talking to Christine or Matt about that, but if anyone has questions, they can call Water and Sewer and they can give them kind of an overview of here's when you would recoup your money. If you pay, $400 plus however much it is to have a plumber install it, here's when you would get that money back kind of a thing. So if anyone has any questions, and we'll put that out there, they could call and just kind of say, hey, can you look at my bill and see if it makes sense for me?
Absolutely.
So does that sound good? Okay, and I think there were like 5 or 6, maybe not even, that had done it in the last year, so we don't have a ton to refund at this point. Okay, so what did we say was the end date
I thought we did through the end of the summer, August 31st
of next year?
of next year. So people have the whole season to,
Okay, so 8/31/26 will be the end of that waiver period.
and it was gonna go back retro or to the date the rates went into effect. Is that April of last year?
I don't know, Matt's supposed to give me that information.
We'll
Yeah, I
find
think it
out.
was- I think it was
We'll get
April
that
of
start date.
2024.
Okay,
Item 4F, a tentative resolution to authorize the use of reserve repair funds. A public hearing regarding the use of the reserve repair funds to be used for work at the wastewater treatment plant is scheduled for June 24th. This resolution would approve the use of these funds. The work includes repair of the biosolids dryer, replacement of gas scrubbing media, the repair of a secondary clarifier, and repairs of the plant's supervisory control and data acquisition system, not to exceed $200,000. Item 4G, a tentative resolution to authorize the repair and these would be the items under that, once that public hearing is completed and authorized. And so G, the tentative resolution to authorize the repair of the secondary clarifier skirt and purchase materials. These are 2 separate contracts. One is the purchase of the materials from Lakeside.
It's on the back page.
okay. There's 3, right? Dan, flip the page over, because I wanted to make sure Jay was a part of that as
It
well. I
is.
think it is,
It is.
the controls and alarms. Does that make sense?
Yes, the SCADA system.
Skater,
So
yeah.
J would be included in that if the public hearing and we decide to approve the funds, it would be G, H, and J that would go into that.
So to make sense of it, we have the public hearing on for June. Then there would be a resolution that would authorize the use of those repair funds for these items, but then each of the items has their own procurement policy, like whether they have to go out to bid or get quotes or state contract or whatever the case may be. So then there'll be separate resolutions for the individual purchase to make sure that we're in compliance with the procurement policy.
So it'll be one resolution to authorize the funds and then separate for each expenditure.
Right, and Matt had indicated in committee that those 3 tentative items may not all be on for the end of the month. It just depends on when things come back as far as quotes and bids and whatnot. So you guys will authorize the use of the repair funds if that's what you choose to do. And then if you choose to do that, then we go to the next step of actually making
Authorizing
sure,
expenditures.
like awarding the contract, so to speak, to indicate who we're purchasing from or who the contract's going to be awarded to.
But it looks like it's going to be over 200,000.
I think it's not to exceed 200,000.
Yeah,
Not
it
to
should, I
exceed.
think it's less than that, but
Yep.
just in case, yeah.
And so to summarize on that first item, on G for the Lakeside or for the skirt materials, 31, for the materials themselves, $31,175 for Lakeside. And then for the contractor for the labor, $17,020 for Pollard. For H is regarding the sludge dryer, the tentative resolution to authorize sludge dryer repair, two separate contracts. One, the contractor AIT, $18,000. And the second one for Pollard for $9,450. And wanted to add for the hydrogen sulfide scrubber media item, call that item, I get that. A tentative resolution to authorize the purchase of replacement media for the hydrogen sulfide scrubber at the wastewater treatment plant. And we're still working on quotes for that.
So we should keep that as a tentative.
So keep
It's
that
all
one
tentative
as
because it
tentative.
depends on the board's decision after the public hearing.
Is the media one on here though? I'm not sure.
It wasn't on the list. It's not on the agenda. So
Okay.
if you can add that one to that.
Yeah, you guys had some
We
questions.
just discussed it, yeah.
But that would go into the repair
Yes,
reserve, correct?
yes.
If it's
Yep.
ready to go.
Yep, yep. And then I, a resolution to appoint the plant mechanic. We've been doing interviews. And we've had a really good interview with a person that we believe would fit the position well. We do have another couple interviews. But we're ready to go ahead and be prepared for a resolution on that.
Okay. Any questions on those? We kind of like beat that repair reserve up. All right, great. Thanks, Dan. And we'll bring up Ray. Do you have? Yeah, Ray from Highway.
Five A, a resolution entering a paving agreement between the town board and the highway superintendent. So Kara identified this as, this should be data that should be sent in for CHIPS and for Pave New York, which is reimbursement to us. So this is just some paperwork in a way that we're gonna move forward from now on with this. 5B, tentative resolution for hire grounds workers. We have been conducting interviews. I hope to have a name to Kara to forward to Elena shortly, so at least one. C is a resolution to permanently appoint Ismail Jackson, cleaner up here at Town Hall. He's been doing a great job, so we'd like to permanently appoint him at this time.
Great.
Okay, I
Any
think the last one is Lori's. Any questions? Thank you.
5D is a resolution to accept the Schenectady County Arts and Cultural Grant. This is a grant that we apply to every year from the county, which funds our concerts and our movie nights, and we received $2,500. So I'd like to thank the county for their generous grant. And I do have an item from the floor, very tiny. Every year we have a couple of counselors who seek other employment after they've been put on a resolution. So we had to add a few more in. So I'll just have a very small resolution for a couple additional playground staff. And that's it. Any questions? No? Thank you.
Okay, good. Thanks, Lori. And last but not least, we have economic development.
6A is a resolution to accept a land donation at the corner of Catherine Woods and River Road. This is a triangle spot that is probably originally reserved for a subdivision sign, but didn't get built. the subdivider defaulted on the taxes and it went to Schenectady County, and it has subsequently been bought by people who don't understand that it's not a buildable lot multiple times. They default on their taxes, and then a new person comes along and doesn't understand that it's not a buildable lot. The most recent one that did that is a young lady who grew up in Niskayuna, and she's been dutifully paying her taxes and doesn't want the same thing that happened to her to happen to anyone else. So she would like to donate this land to the town of Niskayuna. The taxes are very minimal. We do have to do a title search to make sure that they are good in good standing. But then we'd like to take that land so that it doesn't kind of hurt people when they pick it up from county. And then maybe someday, if the neighborhood wanted to, they could couple together a Catherine's Woods neighborhood sign.
That's really a good idea that she did. And I don't know if you guys are familiar, but if you go on the county website, there's all kinds of little plots of land that aren't, or somehow were tied to other plots of land. And they're always kind of sight unseen, and you don't really know full hand if they're buildable or not. And I think it's happened to me probably over a decade ago, but it's a good idea to donate it, and so it won't happen to somebody else, because there's basically nothing you can do with it except for to look at it. So that's great. Thank you.
With this particular plot, is there going to be anything we're going to need to do with it, maintaining trees or mowing, that kind of thing?
It's currently just vacant, open land. Like when you drive by Catherine's Woods, it's on the south side. It's like a buffer between the house on the south side of Catherine's Woods and River Road Park. If they were ever to put a subdivision sign up, that would be a maintenance thing. But the way our code reads for the subdivision sign is that the homeowners of the area are supposed to put in the money and maintain it. We adopted that code, I think, in 2016, so should have very little impact on maintenance. B is a resolution recognizing Mr. McKinney for his contributions to the Lions Park train station. We talked about this one a couple of times. Mr. McKinney has been donating his services as an architect for a couple of years. He designed the plans to replace the deck and has been working with the Architectural Review Board and the Historic Preservation Committee on the roof and the windows. And he's come up with a whole bunch of things that should make the building last, hopefully, for a very long time. In recognition of all that work, Mr. Delarada has talked a couple times that he would like to make sure that we recognize him. It's a sizable donation that he's given to the town. And we were talking about maybe dedicating a bench to him or something. Picnic table, yeah.
We were trying to combine that, Ray. I don't know if we can put plaques on the green ones remember we talked about the green ones, maybe for the train station to kind of replace the ones that are there. Do you think we could get a plaque on there somehow? Yeah. Okay, so that's why I was thinking we could combine efforts.
A plaque on.
So we were talking about replacing some of the train stations. There's some old wooden like benches and picnic tables and stuff. And so we thought, okay, can we get something? Yeah. So then we thought, okay, if we're going to get a new one, maybe we could just get a plaque for Mr. McKinney on one of those.
Okay, train station. That's something. I mean, his contribution has kind of been that big.
I don't know the history of the Lions Park name, so I'd have to research that a little. But I do recognize how much that you have always appreciated him, and you are always willing to tell him.
Really?
Yeah, yes.
You can't count.
Yeah.
Not just professional.
Oh, yeah.
Well, yeah.
Oh, yeah. Charlie's met him out there. He's gone in the basement. He's walked around the pillars. He's not always in the best of health, so it's actually really amazing how hard he tries to get down and around the building. So yeah, he's definitely dedicated to helping Niskayuna.
Or maybe something in between, because the furniture isn't going to be that permanent.
What about
Or
like the
is it?
McKinney picnic area or something like that? So
Put a sign up.
To dedicate, sure.
That's not a bad idea.
Maybe the
We can carry
McKinney
it.
Pavilion, or yeah, something.
I was trying to think if we could do something with that that ticket depot that Rita was talking about. And I'm like, but it doesn't really totally make sense right there. So, because that would have been kind of cool if we had a use for it, but I don't have a use for it. So maybe the sign in the picnic area is a good idea.
I
Okay.
like the idea, like where all the tables are right across from the train station, and left there, you know, the sign with his name on it. Good idea.
Let me get
Mhm.
together with Ray and we'll figure out something and send it around and see what you guys think. Does it sound good?
Sounds good.
And he is able to attend, although I have to double check because you moved your meeting. But I'll make sure that he was originally planning on attending the Thursday meeting. So I'll make sure that he can come on the Tuesday meeting, but he was planning on attending for the presentation.
I thought we changed it after we asked him or before we asked him.
I don't think so.
Let's double check.
I'll double check. I'll just double check. And then the C is a resolution to appoint a member of the Conservation Advisory Council. I am not circulating her resume because she's been appointed to the Climate Smart Communities Task Force, Portia Zwicker. And she stepped away from the Climate Smart Communities Task Force for a couple months because she went over to the Schenectady County Environmental Action Coalition, but she would like to come back and continue to be our Schenectady County Environmental Action Coalition representative. So that would make the CAC full. And she was a really hard worker on the Climate Smart Communities Task Force. So I definitely recommend her for appointment to the CAC. Also, if I get any resumes for the Zoning Board of Appeals alternates, I will circulate them. And if there's no objections, I would like to add that if there's some way that we can get one on there. We're having a special meeting already in June because I need more alternates for
Yeah,
ZBA.
if anybody knows any candidates, we're gonna send an email blast out, but we are in need of alternates on the zoning board.
And then the last one is a resolution to amend fees for the Niskuna Building Department. One of the things that Kevin has brought over from the city of Schenectady, and he's a fantastic building inspector, by the way, he's doing a great job, is he was surprised that we don't have fees for our stop work orders and our work without permit. And so he gathered a collection of towns around and showed the fees of what a typical stop work order would be, fines that you have to pay before it can get lifted. And I included that in the EDHP packet if you guys want to look at. I believe it's $250 for work without a permit and $500 for a stop work order. And I would like to enact those. We have some struggles with particular companies and things that'll sometimes do it because there's no penalties. So I would like to bring ourselves into alignment with our surrounding towns and make it a little more onerous if you get a stop work order.
And how many members do we need to fill?
So we can actually take 3 alternate zoning board members. We have space for 5. We only have 2 right now, and
So
We're-
at least 2 or 3 more.
we're very rarely getting a full
Yeah.
board on the zoning board. And for any of you, Bill knows this. When we don't have a full board on the zoning board, it allows the applicants to withdraw their cases with no, because they have a right to a 7-member board. So when we don't have a 7-member board, it's probably the most important board to be fully. Yeah,
Knocked out.
yeah, exactly.
Thank you.
Yep.
Hey, Laura, I'm sorry, going back to the fees.
Yeah.
Could you just clarify the order of operations for the stop work permit and then stop work or the work without permit and then the stop work order? Is it one comes after the other one?
No, it depends on what's happening in the field. So work without a permit would be if we discovered that somebody was putting up a shed in their backyard without a permit. So sometimes that's more of an educational thing where we stop and we say, you need a permit for the shed, so you got to come in and get one. A stop work order is when someone is doing something in direct violation of their permit or directive from the town. Yeah.
We've only had a couple of them, really, since I've been here, right?
Yeah, so they come and go.
Mhm.
Generally speaking, the most things that we see are roofs without a building permit, and the roofing contractors can be sneaky and try to sneak one in. And the sheds, because people will buy them from Home Depot and they're not even really using a contractor, so they'll sometimes get installed, and then a neighbor will be like, "Oh, I have a shed that's like 2 feet off my driveway. Like, what the heck happened?" So we go out and check. Stop work orders are are usually subdivision related, and it's usually clearing without something or, just doing something in violation, like if the building inspector directed them to add a rail to a stair and they don't comply with the timeline, and it's mostly health and safety things or subdivision related things. Mhm.
Okay. Anybody else have anything? All right, then I'll make a motion to adjourn the June 10th, 2025 Committee and Finance and Agenda Committee meeting. Yes. Do I have a second?
Second,
All in favor?
aye.
Aye.
So I'm here for a picture. That's so ridiculous. Should have announced that so people were like, why are you wearing this? It's my birthday garb, apparently. I don't know. Well,